This is the Dreamcatcher Ferris Wheel. Excited to show. It's actually put together. It's probably 95% of the way assembled or so. I don't have the motors tensioned up against it right now. This thing's pretty crazy assembling. So you pretty much got to start with the skirting over here. You got pretty much most of the rails. Stairs. Those are the exit stairs. The entrance stairs. The new guy. He actually put the gondolas on backwards. They should be turned around so that you're exiting onto them stairs and then coming off over to this side here. It's alright though. Putting it together first couple of times you learn. Sometimes I just get curious and I want to see how fast I can spin it. Without chopping my finger off. Be one crazy Ferris wheel ride. Let's not give up now. The baskets are about flipping over. The green one. That'd be one heck of a ride. The stabilizer bars on the side for like wind brace and stuff, all of that, it made such a huge difference. Like, I didn't even expect the difference that they were gonna make between the red side stabilizers and those jacks. This would not be possible if I wouldn't have put those on there like that, because just the tiniest little bit level or movement side to side makes everything touch. If you didn't have all that, like, look at the tolerances, they're way close. So without all that, like, it starts hitting and stuff. So, but I'm gonna show you, this is kind of crazy. Just the tiniest little touch on these jacks, left and right, moves this whole arch frame, like right here between this rim iron and the main arch. That distance gets further and closer just by a slight touch on them jacks. It's kind of hard to see here, I got insufficient light. But you can see here somewhere. You can see just slightly going up and down. I can't hold still there. You can see it moving though. Yeah, that camera don't want it. But side to side, it shifts all of that a massive amount just by tiny bits of movement. actually got the jack and everything here. I haven't shown too much of that one yet. And when you push up, it retracts the pin to drop it. Right now I don't have the lock on, so they don't have enough weight to make it fall back down. Drop it and then put some weight, it goes down on it. So we got the two motors there, and then you got a shackle. That shackle is to, it actually connects with that one right there and pulls the skirting all up against the side of the trailer when it's supposed to be transported. And each gondola, it's actually just got a tiny little pin right there. You pull that pin and the whole gondola comes off the bottom, and then it flips over. There's just a little T-bar in there, and that T-bar folds up and connects to right there. That way the whole thing can fold down, and you don't have to remove the T-braces or nothing like that. You just pull that pin and drop the gondola off, and then you flip that up, and then you're supposed to take off the umbrella. The umbrellas actually have a pin on them too. There's a pin down there. It's kind of hard to see here though. Just sits down on there like that. And we just done about 80 miles an hour. You seen it? It's kind of hard to get them to come off. I don't have none of that pinned on there right now. I just got the gondolas. I did find out that I wasn't actually planning on putting the pins through each one of these here around it. I was just gonna run the one. There's normally just one pin which holds one spoke, and then the rest of them wrap around the wheel, and you're supposed to climb up there after it's assembled and put those pins in. I figured because this was a small model and everything that I wouldn't actually need all those, but once I got this all together and everything without those pins, and I still don't have them all in there, I only have 4, but 4 was enough to create the rigidity that it needed, like stability. For some reason, like, even though there's 360 round rim irons that connect a whole circle, for some reason when it started to spin, it still had the mass of the wheel that was turning, and every so often the mass of the wheel would make like a click or a shifting, and that was actually every one of these internal center spokes shifting from left to its furthest tightest right position, which, I mean, you can't really do it now, but if those were loose, you kind of could move them around a little bit because they aren't actually tied in right there. It was only the very first spoke. On a real one, when they set it up, they climb up into these spokes and then they put those pins in. So they have to take those out every time. This thing's actually lifting up and everything really good now, and I have some cheaper, more available for people to purchase actuators on here. Yeah, I made it with those there. That way I knew you didn't have to go and buy some expensive $50, $60 each ones just to make it work. I think those were like $12, $13 a piece. And they're actually, I think, 120 in, which is 35 pounds or something. So this thing's capable of 35 each side. I mean, it just depends on your like your angles and the strength of like geometry. There's a lot to it there. See, and I don't. This here is actually just like nubbed up, stuck there. I don't actually have the little adjuster on the bottom of it, but it is like right in where I need it. I scooted it over and jammed it up against it. I got that one on there, but this one here is actually all together and tightened up, so I was able to snug it up against that one there and then adjust it with this one here too. It's tight where it needed to be. So then you got the cab slides all the way over. There is one thing that will be changed about this. You see that stand there and everything. So on the real one, when the cab slides over, all of your gondolas and stuff are still stacked on the deck. And in order to give you more room, they pull them back, because normally they're only stacked to about right here. So they would pull them back to about right here to the end, which would give them all extra the deck room to work and assemble the Ferris wheel. On this here though, I messed up these angles right here, which is really easy. It's just these two black pieces that would have to be remade, and I already have remade them. I just haven't changed them on this, but I've been keeping up with the file. As I notice something needs edited or whatnot, I go in to do it on that file right then and there. So, but that'll allow them to pull all the way back here, and you'll have all that room, a bit more room, especially when you're starting to put gondolas on there and stuff. Your gondolas have to be shifted around and stuff so that it'll continue to turn, and like there's a certain way that you have to put them all on there, and you have to do it like you got to keep the weight ratio like in mind of where you're putting the weight. Otherwise, if you just get it all the weight on one side, it's not going to want to turn on you. And I got two more rails. There's a longer rail that's going to go here, and then there will be two plates that set in here and over there, so that it just covers up the deck, and then it'll have another short rail that takes up right there. The gondolas will be turned around. There's actually seats and stuff. I haven't printed the seats out yet. That's just a board though. It's pretty simple. It just sits across it. And I gotta do a little bit of work with these motors. Like, it's gonna have a bolt on the bottom, and then there will be a spring. No, there will be a spring on this side, and it'll be tensioned against that spring, but this here will be able to rotate, or it'll be able to jog on that spring with the tension against the wheel. The wheel is I mean, it's round, but there's a little bit off. It's here and there, so you want to be able to have a little bit of spring tension on that. So that's what's happening here. And then I'm gonna put a bigger wheel. This drive wheel, it's probably only gonna spin it like it's gonna spin it real slow. I want to kind of spin it somewhat the speed of what they should, which scale this here, I mean, that's you spinning in a real one, so I don't have to spin this thing crazy fast. But I am going to do a little bit bigger wheel, drive wheel, and I'm going to give it like a rail on the side, so that the wheel kind of directs the I don't know how to say it here, but it'll be up against the side of it, like kind of holding it in place, and it'll have tension up against it. So, but I'm gonna do that on both. You can see if I kind of stand back here, you can see both of them line up. You got all the adjustments. Like you can slide that wheel on the motor shaft, or you can slide the motor in the housing, or you can even turn the housing over and get the offset. Like, I wasn't quite sure what that offset was going to be, so I just made the like maximum amount of adjustment that I could do there, which is good. It's going to work out really good. You can see this here wheel is probably going to sit about where it needs to be, and then it'll have an extra side wall there that sits up against everything, and that'll just kind of help direct it centered through the arch, because the main arch is the main problem. Like, if it shifts just a tiny little bit, it can hit these pins and stuff. But putting all the braces and stuff on there, like, it's actually getting way sturdy. So, and I mean, there's a lot of weight there. I don't think anybody understands that trailer is pretty heavy. Before I started to put the Ferris wheel up, I put it all on the trailer, and I picked up the whole trailer, and I'd say it's a good probably 45 pounds. I'm probably wrong there. Probably more than that. I got one wheel. Like, the gondolas each have wheels on the bottom, which allow them to roll back and forth on these rails, these center rails. The gondolas will roll all the way across. Oh, I just bumped that now. Yeah. That way you can just roll it up onto here and then lift it up, or roll it up over here trying to store it away or something. And all the rails, they just pull up out of there. Pretty easy there. Don't really gotta worry about none of that. The stabilizers all have a pin right here. You pull that pin, and then you can push it up, and then just put the pin back in it, or they can come out. But they definitely have to go up before you can back the truck underneath. So you got a bunch of adjustment for the kingpin. There, that shows you the two tops to the jacks. You can adjust individually. And like that, that's a lifesaver right there. And I actually made this kind of crazy. You got, it's hard to get it to zoom in, but it's got a housing on the bottom, and then it's got the jacks that go in the inside, and then you have a screw that comes down and meets into these red jacks there. That's what you're turning there. But I made it to where that screw like pushes up, and then that bottom housing bolts up and then holds all that there in there. So you can actually unscrew the jacks and drop them out the bottom, and nothing will fall out. It all just stays up in there. Then you can kind of see underneath there. That's where the rim irons store when you're going into travel. Actually have to put them on both sides. Once you get rid of the skirting, you got to put the other 16, or you got to put the other 8 under there. There's 8 on each side. Two rows of 4. And the suspension is all adjustable and everything. You can actually lift and lower the axles by tightening some bolts underneath, and that kind of helps you to set the axles and the tires right down at the ground. Like you can see, I'm setting on all of my stabilizers, like those are tight, they're tight, and on the front all that's tight, but my tires, they're touching, but there's a little weight, they still allow them to slip a little bit. That way I know that I'm not just sitting on my tires, and the stabilizer is actually, everything's all, if you were to put a level on it right now, that thing's it's about perfect. I can't find a level right now. Oh, I got it. Let's see what we got. Make sure I'm on a level part here. Big old crease. Yeah. See right here. It's hard to see around this thing. She's good enough, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm looking into the lights and stuff, but see how close the lights get to the center spokes and stuff, so I'm a little worried about that. Unless you've done some outside LEDs. It's got quite a little bit of gap there. It's probably where it's going to have to be. And then those there are for your pins. I got a bunch hidden in there already. This one here is for your loading stairs and whatever else you have to store in there after that. But loading stairs, just drop them. And then right here, this is the pin. You pull this pin on both sides before you go to drop the wheel and set everything down on the trailer. That allows this arm to split in half and set down onto the trailer. But we don't need that right now. We're way too far in it.